Good evening, gamers. This is Griever, and I'm bringing you another Fresh Meat League Bootcamp training session. Tonight, we're going to be focusing on Scout and Defensive Scout, I believe it is, Ricky.
Yes, it is defensive scout.
Excellent. So, yep, this is Riki from Frenetic Array, a Division 1 Australian clan, and he just wants you to know that, like, this isn't the be-all end-all guide to scouting, because technically there isn't such a thing. This is just how Ricky plays Scout, and he plays it at a high level, so I imagine what's going through his head is probably pretty important. Have a listen in, and yeah, hopefully you learn from something that he says. Anyway, let's get into it.
Thanks, Griever. To start with, I'm just gonna go through the rollout. So when I play scout on my rollout, obviously character spawn to start with. Make sure you don't interrupt med heals trying to buff the demo on soldiers. Go out through under. I'm gonna be going Spire because generally there's gonna be soldiers jumping, and if you come out sometimes from say house, you can catch lots of spam from the demo, trying to demo battle or whatever, and you hop out. And the first thing you want to do when you get to middle is you want to call what you see. Obviously, like communications as scout is probably the #1 thing you need to be doing most of the game, is making sure what you see is cold. Obviously, if you see two scouts on point aggressing a demo, and your demo hasn't cold it or whatever, your team needs to know. If you see a soldier valley, if you see a soldier going main, if you see a scout main, you only see one scout, that sort of thing. Obviously, you don't want to be spamming and etc. But your team needs to know what's happening, because if your demo's behind crate and you can't see valley, he's not going to know there's going to be a soldier jumping if you just sit there quietly as he jumps. And your demo needs to have that like second or medic. Everyone needs to know what's happening in your area. So generally, yeah, I hop crates either down here next to main, and if main scout is cold, you got a pretty easy duel going on. Not easy, but you got a duel that you can kind of know is coming, because he's not going to be on point, he's not going to be under. And basically, if a soldier jumps, you want to be able to deny him. So obviously, you need to be able to hit a jumping soldier, but he's not going to be like super fast momentum or anything crazy. So it should be pretty relatively easy to hit. The main thing you want to do though, sorry if I'm talking fast, but yeah, main thing you want to do is line yourself up. Don't just see him and then go spastic and just spam your mouse somewhere. You just want to be able to line yourself up. It hit is a meat shot, he'll either get knocked down and you can either chase that, or you can ignore him and he's going to be super low and be basically useless. So yeah, if you go this way, you got the soldier and you can still aggress from the point. You can go down the side, you can help out under, jump behind him under, go window, play from their rocks, sort of thing. But generally the main thing I try and do is stop the jumper whichever way I can, or play aggressive to stop whatever's trying to push a point across the point, so kind of deny like map area. So they have a scout playing aggressive, you get into him, either get the kill or make him back off. That's like the main thing I try and do a lot of, because if you have map presence on rollouts specifically, if you let them take ground, you're going to lose, because you're going to get boxed into shitty places like the house entrance, which is here. If they're on middle point and you're all stuck in the house entrance and your med hasn't even got out, it's like not good at all, and you probably already lost med. So a big part is the fact that the scouts and the demos are going to be the first ones there. So you guys need to work between yourselves every rollout, because that's generally how it works. The scouts and the demo are going to be the first ones there, then everyone else is going to get that. So how you guys play and work together is kind of crucial at the start of the game, every rollout. And I really think that working on your rollouts as a team and sorting that sort of thing out is huge, because if you win a rollout, you already have an advantage sort of thing, and lots of TF2 is about advantages and using them. So yeah, if you can get a 6 down on mid, you've basically got a full river advantage pushing last, yeah? So in a way, you could say if you actually don't get some crazy thing at last, you've already got yourself a cap just from having like a good rollout and playing rollouts really effectively. So scouts, demos, midpoint, if your demo keeps on getting rushed, you need to fix that stuff up, because that shouldn't be happening. Your demo should not be instantly getting killed by scouts. That falls on you, or it falls on your demo having poor positioning on mid. If he's getting 1v1 by the other demo, that might just mean that the other demo's outplaying him, or he's getting spammed by the scouts at the same time. Any questions so far?
If you have any questions, please don't ask them in STV. We cannot see the STV for obvious reasons because we're not in it. So ask your questions in the mumble and we will answer them as best we can. Any questions so far? Doesn't look like it. If you have any
Cool.
questions, post them up and I will address you when we get to the next question asking time.
So yeah, well, it's Badlands, Granary, most maps. The way you play can make a huge impact, obviously. If you deny a soldier, and you don't take that much spam, you've basically done that soldier's out of it. You can chase him, get the pick, then go aggressive under point, or just pressure more, and then they have to react to what you're doing. And just because you're so-called, or well, just because I'm a so-called defensive scout, you don't want to just play really, really passive all the time. It's just more like, to start with, and generally I'll be more defensive than the other scout. That's all it means. It doesn't mean I never plus forward, I never go for the med pick, I never play aggressive, I never take duels. It doesn't mean that at all. It just means generally on rollouts and on situations I'll play the role where I'll be defending other players or stopping jumpers, or just be in a position where I can help others, sort of thing, rather than just trying to 1v1 players or just doing loads of damage. Like, yeah, don't forget that it's not all about kills in situations when you're like pushing as scout. Like, if you do damage and your team mops, that's huge, and you just gotta remember how that went and how you did that and how that worked, sort of thing. Because every time you play a different team, players are gonna do different stuff, different things are gonna work. Obviously, some things will always work just because of the way you execute them, and if you execute them well. But not everything is going to go your way. So I think some soldiers might always jump quick, some soldiers might jump from the side, some soldiers might walk through certain areas. Lots of the way people play, you just got to kind of adapt and understand. Like, some teams in Oz Fortress, you will know, will always have this one player who is throughout the whole game going to be jumping as soldier. He's going to be trying to jump at you, he's going to be trying to get picks, he's going to be aggressive, and you know that. And same with scouts. Like, some players are just always aggressive and will try and put themselves in situations where that'll work. And if you can call what's going on and make sure your team can react to that, that's probably one of the most important things. Especially, yeah, against top teams. You know that every little bit counts because, yeah, you need to be able to react. And yeah, the way the whole mindset works as scout is generally communication is the biggest thing in your team. Like, what is your team trying to achieve? Like, say you've won mid, you got 6 up, they have 6 up, it's even Ubers. You need to position yourself depending on what you're trying to achieve. So if you're holding back and you're not going to push, even though you probably should be working reset, but it depends what you're trying to do as a team. If your med calls to push and you're all positioning to push, as a scout I might be sitting back and watching rally and watching house. If we've taken resup, same thing. If we do a resup play, bait scouts, soldiers jump, take resup, force them to turn around, take ground. The big thing is just knowing what your team is going to be doing and like working with them, because it's not obviously a single player game, it's a fucking team game. You just really need to work around your team and support whatever you need to support or do or take ground. Like, they're the big things you need to be doing with comms on the top. So if your combo is pushing around corner, you either come around corner and support them, but you got to make sure obviously if they're holding forwards, like that sort of thing needs to be called straight away, because you don't want to be coming around corner and just get spammed and be forced to multi and lose loads of players. You need to like have set plan and know exactly what you're gonna do when you push or when you fall back or whatever, which is generally like really important on all maps. You don't want half your team doing one thing and half your team doing another. And as like the scout, it really impacts your play if you don't know what you're doing or what your team wants you to be doing, because it's gonna end up with you're gonna be the only one up and you're gonna be in some shit place and you're just gonna get killed and accomplish absolutely nothing, sort of thing. So like, if we have a revenge, we're pushing corner, I'm gonna go resup, I'm gonna have a soldier with me, we're gonna take resup. I can either sit here and just hold resup, wait until my combo goes around corner, jump battlements, jump bridge, get a med pick as they fall back. Like, there's so many things you can do it's not just set to one thing. But at the same time, you're being fed information from your team. It shouldn't just be silent stuff. And you need to make a decision off that, you know what I mean? If you see the med at bridge and you're at resub and it's cold, he's low, you can easily get the pick, live, take last, Urad sort of thing. So yeah, scout, defensive. Don't always have to be defensive. It's just a majority of the time you're going to be putting yourself where you're going to have some sort of teammate or team pushing, and you need to just be calling what you're seeing. Like, calling is so huge. You'll see scouts that will not know what to say, or they'll say the wrong things, or they'll be quiet when they're dueling, and it's kind of important your team knows what's going on. Same with some players don't watch kills or don't like follow what's dead and what's alive, and it should just be on the fly stuff. You don't need to constantly be pressing tabs or hang, but you should understand what's happening from your calls and what's going on. So if you know they're 3 down and you're 6 up, you shouldn't be just hanging around. You need to be positioning yourself as the scout and with the team to be able to push forwards as 6. So again, like, you know you're pushing last. You need to decide what you're going to do with your team as a scout. If your team's going to Uber and under, you might call for a soldier to dump top right, get tab, take top right, and you can just take this ground. And the split second you've done that, you have a fallback position for your team and your soldier, and getting height on Battlegrounds last is huge because it just enables your soldier to spam down. If you bait point as a scout, your soldier's going to kill whatever comes to get the point. Big thing with Battlegrounds last is getting that sort of thing sorted out, because the amount of teams you'll have 6, you'll be winning last and you'll just hang around and you won't do anything at last, even though you've won. Basically, you just need to get some stuff on the point, and like demo or soldiers or medic, you don't want to all be baiting the point at the same time, obviously, and you don't all want to be in shitty positions, all at bottom, all standing around the same spot. But you just need to have it clearly like communicated, because it's not that complicated to do. You just say, I'm baiting point, you need to do it at the right time. You're going to bait point, stickies are going to pop, and then somebody else is going to get on the point, and they're going to have to react to that. They're going to have to drop from height, or they're going to have to go onto the point straight away, and you have it. Or they're going to have to Uber onto it, but you really should have already forced the Uber. Other thing as scout is utils. Again, a lot of like scout is not just about the way I play, it's about the way the team plays and how I play with the team and how I communicate what I'm doing and take the information they're supplying me and how I react with that. So if it's like even Ubers on Badlands and you got loads and loads of things you can do as scout, you can organize like a suicide sort of thing, not like a suicide, but you want to be trying to get an advantage with yourself and maybe a soldier, because most teams are not going to push 4v6 out of Badlands last onto second in a choke. It's something that will just end in a stalemate sort of thing, because both teams are going to get forced, and then most likely, as long as you still got demo and soldiers and the scout, you're not going to be able to take spire unless you mess it up. So you can go in, try and get a med force, try and get a demo, because those are the main things you want on a last push when you're trying to take ground, is demo, medic, or if there's a sentry. So big thing you can do is just organize. There's so many things you can do. If there's no sentry top right, I don't know if NZ has lots of sentries put up at top right, but generally sentries will be put up top right on Badlands occasionally if they're trying to hold and they're just trying to stop it. So you can, if their sentry isn't up, you can easily plus forward top, have a soldier jump from under first. Soldier jumps up, you run straight through under, and if the med's forwards, you're going to get a force or you're going to get a pick. And that's a little bit about Badlands specifically.
Right, I got a couple of questions there. The first one is Fedmucker. I'm just going to unmute you, bro. Alright, what's your question?
I was just wondering what FOV you play at.
I'm not 100% sure. I'll check.
Are you referring to
FOV
weapon
decide
form?
90.
G-model, yeah.
FOV desired 90. Is that what the question is?
So you just play on default FOV G-model?
That's the gun, yeah? How far the
Yeah,
gun
yeah.
is? Yeah. Default, I think is the right one, yeah. How
So
far
how
the
about
gun's
So
arms
gun
are?
up in your face or gun lower like it is in the STV?
I think guns default, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, some people really prefer not to. I don't know, it's just a thing I've always done. I don't play with much of my configs at all. Like, it's probably, like, what do people say? It's retarded to have view model on, like I do. But it's really up to the way you play. It's probably better to just play with crosshair and not have it up, really. If you can, yeah.
I
But,
know, but as a scout especially, you get the rhythm with your shooting and shit, and having that visual
yeah,
cue there isn't bad either, so...
it's probably best, yeah, personal preference, what you do. But I've always, since I started playing, I've always had it up, so it's just kind of stuck there, sort of thing. I
You
don't,
can
yeah.
pretty much think of it as personal preference anyway, Fadmucker, because, I mean, like, Ricky's playing at a Div 1 level with no issues with that FOV. Like, it's not going to make or break your game, and it's not going to turn you into a god or turn you into a shitter, but it's just something depending on how you like to play, really.
I wouldn't worry about the whole configs thing or settings like that sort of thing too much. Really, to be honest, Five Mucker, it's
Oh,
not a big
thanks.
deal.
And also, what do you do on defense on last? What do you do?
Generally engineer
Oh, you
and
go
then
engineer.
switch. So I'll put a sentry up. The team then has to spam it from bottom. So put the sentry up either like just in front of the door to the right, or I'll put it forwards here on the little ammo kit. And the other team will then have to either waste time or they'll Uber into it. And the first thing they'll do with their Uber is they'll kill the sentry. But most good teams won't do that. So I think they'll kill the sentry before they push, because using Uber to kill the sentry is kind of counterproductive, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You could spam it from bottom with 2 soldiers. If it's on that, you can double spam it. You can easily, if they're so far back, some people even just walk demo in, put stickies down, walk out. Like, it really depends on confidence in the way you play, sort of thing. But another thing you can do is if the NGs put it right back at the door, you can have 2 soldiers pop in bottom right, double spam it, and you'll get the pick and you'll get the sentry.
And
But
while I got a second, that's another one as well. If the roamer is standing there watching down there all the time, if 2 soldiers at the exact same time come down there and fire rockets up, they generally get a kill on that soldier. Generally.
But yeah, so I got NG, then I switch, and then depending on what's going on, sort of thing, or pyro, like it really dependent on what the Uber ad is. If they have huge Uber ad, I might try and get heavy or pyro, because pyro can be a huge pain if they go in with a demo and a soldier, and just try and air blast and stall for as long as you can. Because if there's no scouts and you get reflex off, like, it's just a good time waster, which is all you're trying to achieve in that sort of position once they've popped. It doesn't mean go like all the way far forwards into them. It means getting like a choke point. So if they Uber in top right as pyro, you sit in, you air blast them, you waste time in the corridors, and you're gonna die. But it's like you've wasted like a percentage of their Uber, which is the main point of what you're trying to do. And as scout, generally you'll be switching and trying to like pick up the pieces of what's going on, because stuff's gonna leak when they Uber in. So obviously point is very important as defending. So if stuff's hopping on the point, you need to be near it to help out, because the split second your demo is cold, he's popped his stickies, point's completely open, and like the amount of times you can see people will position themselves so far away from the point that a scout will just walk on it and cap. So like having height on this map is huge, and like watching bottom left if your team isn't is really important, especially on last. The soldiers are generally going to jump from bottom, or they're going to try and leak in bottom left and take the height with the scouts. And the split second you get boxed in, they're just going to cap. You're not going to be able to get out. Can't answer your question, buddy?
Oh, thank you.
Righto, Louder Than Thunder is asking if you ever play Pyro ever. I guess that's been answered. So the main thing is that you don't play Pyro or mid or anything like that. It's just like
Nah.
a defender for last for choke points in the
Yeah, it's generally against Uber. Huge Uber disadvantage. You might have both scouts switch to utils, so you might have a heavy and a pyro, purely because they're just good at wasting time. Because if they box you in and they pop Uber and they have full Uber, it's not going to end well. But if you've kind of wasted their time, wasted their Uber, it can end a bit better. But generally, you don't want to put yourself in that position where you're at a huge Uber disadvantage, so you want to sort that out first.
I may be wrong. I think Louder Than Thunder is actually asking, like, can you play Pyro effectively all over the map?
Oh no, I don't think you can. Scout is way more useful. I think that's one of the reasons. If you're playing like an off-class competition, you probably could, where there's no scouts, soldiers, or demos. That could work, but
Actually, while I remember, the off-class competition is coming up soon and will be a bunch of fun. So look out for that at the start of next year, people. Right, do we have any more questions before we move on? Doesn't look like it. Is there anything else you wanted to cover on Badlands, Ricky?
Badlands Spire is really important as a scout. I don't know if you guys watch any of the Oz4 League or any games on that, but if Scout gets on Spire and the demo can't spam him off, it's a fucking pain to get him off. Because height, you gotta think of it as like height is really important, yeah? As soldiers, as demos, as scout. If you have height, the soldier has to jump to you, and you should really, with your aim, you should be able to hit a soldier jumping at you, and the split second you do that, the momentum's going to take him, he's going to get denied, and your team's either going to be able to mop up and you're capping Spire. Same with defending Spire, but in most cases you won't be allowed to get on the Spire because the demo's going to be spamming you really hard. Should probably go over back caps. Back caps, I think people seem to be interested in.
I've got a question you're going to love answering, Ricky. You come across 2 enemy scouts. What is the best way to deal with this?
2 enemy scouts, it would depend on what's going on. If I'm in a space when I can't get out and I'm going to die if I try and run because I'm a baddie, so I'm just going to try and run away in a straight line with 2 scouts kind of thing. You don't want to do that. Like, you want to probably think about if you're caught in a really bad situation and you know you're not going to be, like, say, able to get out, like, alive, sort of thing. Like, if you run into 2 point blank scouts, there's probably not much point in trying to run. You're probably going to try and just focus on one of them and trade. Just make sure you call it. Like, I can't emphasize enough how important communication to your team is as a scout, especially if it's so-called playing the more defensive one, and understanding what their team is going to be doing, sort of thing. So if there's 2 scouts, you get yourself caught, you shouldn't obviously be seeing 2 scouts point blank. You probably just want to try and trade and try and get one, or just be awesome and kill them both and try and get like an advantage, sort of thing. Like, a big thing some people might do is, I'll see 2 scouts, I'll run around a corner, they're going to chase me, I can set myself up for an easy shot, or I'm just going to instantly die because they're both going to know I'm going to do that. So positionally, you can try and run, get around a corner you're close to and line yourself up and try and take a duel and trade, because if you're in, like, at this kit here, you'd never want to fight a scout on that kit because he's obviously got a health kit and you don't, and he has a staircase sort of thing. Like, he can easily take the kit and just plus forward you, and he has, yeah. So yeah, pick a duel, run, call, try and so-called, like, you know, if you're here, jump down, maybe they're jumping, they're going to be falling, easy shot, that sort of thing. If they're chasing you through like this drop down, same again, easy shot, easy kill sort of thing if they chase. Not saying it's definitely going to work, but they're going to be probably not instantly together when you run away, and you can maybe try and pick one who's, what, 2 shots, 1 shot and a bit if he's full HP, 2 shots if he's fully buffed. So yeah, run, pick a duel, call what you're doing, try and get a health kit, like, try and lead them to your team, bait. Like, that's really good if you have soldier, obviously. You can just bait them to your soldier. Even if you die, your soldier could get both. There's loads and loads of things you can do. But generally, you don't want to be obviously getting caught with 2 scouts on you because they should be killing you.
Indeed, and just having a look here, the address for the STV server, people, it's a lowercase m, my apologies. Yeah, that's probably why you can't connect. Spastic Monkey, that does answer your question. Alright, anything else you want to cover there?
No,
back caps, that's right, sorry.
I was just gonna go over back caps, yeah, and then switch to granary if that's all good.
No
back capping on Badlands specifically, don't, you know, understand, you guys understand, I'm assuming cap speeds are all different for each point. Certain caps cap differently. As a scout, you have 2 times cap. Generally, you don't want to be trying to always back cap. Like, it's a thing some people have their heart set on, And backcapping is generally all you want to do if you're trying to stall or points almost capped already. So if your team has had a fight at Spire, you're at mid, you've capped mid, and it's slightest bit capped, you cap that, and you waste the other team's time. So you're wasting their time, they're going to recap it. And at the same time, you can give your team forward spawns, which is huge. Blast is one of those things you can try and do, but it's, again, most people are generally, if they try and hold far forwards, I don't know if you guys do this much in NZ, but Badlands second, people hold forwards, lock out all the doors. Obviously, if there's no bonk, it's going to be hard to get to last. But trying to get to last, if you know there's a leak, and if you do leak and you get to last, obviously it's generally either going to be a free cap, or you're going to cap most of it and die, or you're going to get a pick and almost cap. But it's a good option if you know you can get there. Like, you know you can get to last, but it's not one of those things you want to always be risking and always trying to do all the time. It's one of those things you can do, and it can be really cheeky, and you can get away with it on some caps specifically. Like, I know at Grand Raid there's the whole chop down, and Badlands last is the bottom right tunnel when you try and push out. And teams are trying to push out a last. If everyone pushes out, it's really easy in a way to leak, because there's plenty of places to hide, plenty of corners to sit on. So yeah, don't always want to be backcapping, but if you're at a huge disadvantage, you can try and draw players. It's probably the best way to try and draw players away from a situation, but it's a huge amount of time to try and do that from last. Because the amount of time you waste walking to it, it's probably already going to be capped, which is the big thing. So you need to be in a position to get to it, which is not going to be favourable, because that's not going to work. So probably, yeah, backcaps, don't do them that often. Try and really think about what you're achieving when you backcap. If no one comes back and if you just get there and you've already lost your cap, that's really, really bad, and you've just basically wasted it. But you probably could have gone like a util or something like that, or something more effective, or pick a door. Like if you know a scout to bottom left and you see two soldiers, you can just drop down, take the door. You're already at a disadvantage, but like getting a scout pick can help you a lot. And then you can try and backcap off that, because you've already evened it, sort of thing, or you're coming behind. There's lots and lots of situational stuff you just gotta like learn and get the hang of scout. But again, it's about calling and working with the team.
And yeah, yet again, communication, as you say, the most important thing in Team Fortress 2 by a mile.
Yeah, and then playing off how you guys communicate together, and not giving up ground, like this giving up ground for no reason sort of thing. Knowing when to give up ground, advantage, disadvantage. Advantages in player advantage, advantages in position, and uber advantage are the three biggest like things you gotta like do, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. Something quickly while I remember, for your comms, if you use a button that means that you can't talk while you're fighting, you need to use a different button, or you need to learn to. You need to be able to like have a soldier jumping you and be able to deal with that and comment to your teammates while you deal with it, because if they do a big reset push or something like that and you're busy fucking around trying to stay alive and battle them, your team's still kicking back up at corner going la di da di da. Like, this kind of thing is really important. So say you use V on the keyboard or something, you're having trouble with that, you could say that louder than thunder, but like, that lends itself to other issues as well, because you can clog up comms. Someone walks into your room where you are playing or whatever with loud music or something, you'll fuck up comms for your entire team. I mean, if you're guaranteed silence, sure, but push to talk is probably still the best way to go.
Yeah, some people do use the automatic one, but again, it depends on the situation. If you have like a study or like a room, like most of the time, just having it activate automatically is probably better. Quite a few people do that, but again, I'm not sure. Some mics are really sensitive, they can hear you breathing, they can hear your keyboard clicking, loads of things can mess with them.
Fuck, it's mechanical keyboards, man, Jesus. Or that wanker who has the cell phone with the annoying ringtone and voice activation, seriously.
But nah, you should be able to, like, I have my button, don't just do it because I'm saying it, obviously, but I have mine on C, and I just find that easy, because I just use my left index while my other fingers are still on WASD. So I can talk and move and shoot at the same time easily. Obviously I can't press D button while I'm talking, but I can still do everything else. I just have to move my fingers around.
Those of you who want to beat Riki in a duel, wait until he's calming and you'll become a lot more predictable. No, I use V, I know what you mean, bro. I personally hate using mouse buttons for that, but...
It's, again, I've been using it since I played Dodds, so it's just used to it.
Jesus. Wicked. Righto, do you want to move on to Granary, or do you want to do some more Badlands?
What do you guys want? Because it's up to you guys. I'm more than happy just, if you guys want some more specific stuff on Badlands, or do you want me to go over Granary?
If any of you say anything on Foundry, I'm going to shoot you.
I don't know what that map is, if you're going to ask any questions about it. I haven't looked at it and I haven't played it.
It's going to be sniper heaven.
Is anyone saying anything, or do you want to just switch to Badlands?
Nah, no one's saying anything, so...
Alright, just switch to Badlands.
Alternative
Granary is what I
rollouts.
meant.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry.
Loud on the Thunder is asking for alternative rollouts for Badlands, but
That's
the
true.
aggressive scout, isn't it?
That's true, I should do that. That is very true. So, you got house, you can just walk through house, but again, like, I don't know, it's... A thing I still do is it's really personal preference. You need to find what works for you and the way you play. And I find going Spire, even though it's a bit slower, I can cold stuff and I can hit soldiers jumping, which is what seems to happen in the way, well, the way it's played these days is just going to be a jumping soldier, and the scout's going to aggress on the point, and something's going to be under. So it just gives me loads of options. But yeah, see, overall that's, you can always, no matter what, even if you're a defensive scout, you can always just go under. You can go under, you can then walk up slope, or you can jump on this rock and jump on point and pick a duel at the start, which some players will still do regularly, which is absolutely nothing wrong with it. So you walk up, jump on rock, jump on a point, obviously quicker than the way I did it, and then you can do a couple shots back off, drop back under, play aggressive on their side of the map at their mate. Yep. Number one is go valley, wait a couple seconds, then go mate. Chances are no one's going to see you. Jump around, walk through it, or go house. So those are like the main things. If you go valley, you can do lots of stuff. It gives you like what, 1, 2, 3 things you can do. 4 things you can just walk straight under. So yeah, if you go valley, it's got lots of stuff to do, lots of variations. If you go house, obviously you're just going to walk through house. Or if you want, you can. But again, if you go house and then you go balcony to window, it's going to waste a fair bit of time, which is demo getting plus forwarded. That's why you don't always want 2 scouts roll and Spire. But it's really about testing it. Obviously, in most games, there's more than one rollout, and generally you're going to play teams more than once beforehand. So if you find something that works for you and it's not just a one-off, and you can like kind of, you got to understand what are you achieving when you do this rollout. You know what I mean? When I do my Spire rollout, I aim to achieve scouts off the point. Anything that jumps, I deny. If a scout comes through mate, deny. Like, just, you want to be doing something. And the biggest thing I can say, yeah, is really, really try and communicate to your team what you think. Don't attitude and communication are the 2 biggest things. Not all about being the very best there ever was. Like, you got to communicate. If you see something going wrong, and your team can say this is going wrong, and not get all hussy fussy and crying about it and get all grumpy with each other, and you can say this soldier is what the problem is, we need to fix this. This soldier keeps on getting on our medic face and getting the pick. This scout keeps on plus forwarding with no pressure on him and is doing too much. Blah 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 blah. If you can like get that and sort it out, that is like the most important thing you can do. Don't get all fucking angry and swear at each other, or just be mean, or just don't all sit there quietly while you're all dead and not do anything.
There's nothing worse than a completely silent mumble because a rollout isn't working or something like that. Nothing worse.
Yeah, it's awful. Like in this game, you can change and fix so much because it's such an open game. You can change stuff. You can just do that, and it's everything. You should be trying to adapt to what the other team is doing, and you should try and have an understanding of what's going to happen when you call what you see. So you're going to call scout, you're going to call their under, combos valley. You know the combos valley, and you react to the valley. You know a scout's coming, mate. You react to it. You know, if you're really low and you're back and you're on 10 HP, you don't think it's worth. You think your med's going to be too busy healing. There's no med kit, so you back to restart, or you go and try and take their med kit, or you get your med kit. You know, you gotta really react and understand what's going on. Because if you lose to the same rollout 5 times in a row in 5 minutes, you're gonna not enjoy it at all, and you're gonna be quite frustrated, especially if your team's just all quiet or all just getting ragey. Because it's the worst thing that can happen. Is just getting rolled in rollouts, and that it's the worst thing that can happen. Because you're not gonna do any second holds. You're not gonna do any second pushes. You're not gonna do any pushes. You're just gonna be at complete disadvantage every single push, and that's the worst thing. You gotta understand is advantages and disadvantages, and how you can work on achieving them. So rollouts, you can get yourself instant advantage, and you gotta position yourself to work off your advantage. Like, I know I'm not going over loads of specific stuff with Scout, but that's because I don't think I honestly need to, because if you understand what I'm saying, it's gonna impact your play a lot, because you should be not just all about thinking. Obviously aim is important when you play Scout. You need to be able to shoot stuff. You shouldn't miss 6 shots in a row. You shouldn't be picking duels and doing 0 damage sort of thing. Obviously you should be able to hit stuff, but it's mainly about working with your team, communicating, and advantages, and either picking a player over extending, helping your teammate out. So many things you can do, but it's like you need to understand why you're doing it and why it's working. Because yeah, the whole point, I've been probably said this 5 times now, but the soldier jumps. If he jumps for free, it's not cold. He's gonna get something if you rolled house or you rolled valley. Like a big thing, if you roll valley all the time, the soldier's gonna jump straight onto you on the slope, and he's gonna fuck your team up completely. Like if there's no coal and you don't shoot him at all, and you don't achieve anything, and your team's dead, like that's a problem, and you need to be doing stuff on every roll, every push, not every push or every hole, but you should be doing something, and you need to know and understand if you're not doing anything and fix it. Like, it's the biggest thing. Like, don't play 5 games, achieve nothing on rollouts, and think, oh, just not do anything about it. You know what I mean? Not just your team's play, but the way you play. Because generally you can tell if what you're doing is useful, if what you're doing is pointless, if you're instantly dying, if you're walking in a spam, if you're all cluttering up, if you're stealing heals, like if your demo keeps on getting +4 before the combos even arrive. It's all something you can work on as a team and at yourself. So yeah, cool. I'm done with that rant.
Cool. Another quick one for the Spire rollout for Defensive Scout. I used to do it myself a lot because the spam that the demo is primarily going to be aiming is stickies just to the right of where Riki is now, and things like that, and that's where your combo is going to come out of. If you can avoid it, you don't want to be stuck in that spam choke with them. You want to avoid it completely. So going Spire is also good because you don't have to come up through there, should like you be there at the wrong time. And yeah, and remember, you can always go back around corner and into house for the health pack should you need to, if you think that there's going to be a lot of spam there. But yeah, so should we move on to Granary?
Yeah. Any comments so far? Any you guys finding this useful? Or everyone recording it or useful?
No.
Repeating